Welcome to Rome, city of history, city of culture, and city of...
Captivate.
Sorry, what was that? They were private foes. Seriously, not happy about...
Yes, Captivate, Capcom's annual showcase of all that's new and sexy from the legendary Japanese publisher. And what new and sexy games they had. What the lineup lacked in completely original titles, it more than made up for in reinvigorated and reinvented new installments of fan favourites and cult classics. First up, it's time to put your thermals on because we're heading back to EDN 3 for the expectation-defying Lost Planet 3.
You gotta be kidding me.
In terms of the atmosphere of the game, taking place in a harsh, brutal, cold environment, this is something, theme that I have kept, has stayed true to my vision across the franchise. However, I originally intended to make a game that was much wider in design, had a much broader design, whereas, for example, in Lost Planet 1, it was more arcade-like feel, where we're funneling the player ever forward. With Lost Planet 3, we've introduced a kind of hub and spoke design. They uncover more of the world the more they explore. So this is very close to the original vision that I had for the game.
So when you're outside of the utility rig, you will have access to firearms, and it's more of a standard, shooter type experience that harkens back to the previous installments of the franchise. And then, of course, you have the more melee-based combat in the utility rig. And there will be certain instances where, for instance, you may have to go into an area that's more enclosed and the utility rig just physically can't fit, or you might have an enemy that's so massive that you might be able to fight it on foot, but you probably don't want to. But more often than not, the player is going to be able to kind of decide how they want to fight based on their own playstyle. And obviously, because you're protected in the utility rig, there's certain advantages that you get to that. But some of the things that we've shown here at Captivate, the idea of grabbing on with the utility rig and then getting out so that you actually then can keep it, your enemy stationary as you find a point of attack. There's a lot of great opportunities for combos, so to speak, where you're utilizing both types of gameplay.
Next up, DMC. Now everyone's got used to Dante's new look, and if you haven't, kindly shut up. It was time for Ninja Theory and Capcom to prove that the combat not only lives up to the precedent set by its predecessors, but looks likely to surpass it too.
We will find you. We will destroy you. It's only a matter of time.
I mean, the idea is to give you a bunch of weapons that you can swap between on the fly and create your own combos. And you get given these weapons as you play through the game. So you start with your standard Rebellion and Ebony and Ivory. Then you get the Angel weapons, which are usually faster and more crowd controlling. So you can crowd move bunches of enemies, juggle them all at the same time. Then there's the Demon weapons, which are more directed and more and stronger. With the Angel weapon, you can hook onto an enemy and close the distance, so you fly towards them. And with the Demon weapon, you do the opposite. You hook onto them and pull them towards you. And then on different characters, it has different effects. So on certain characters, they're kind of impervious to attacks until you pull off their shield, leave them open, shoot them to stun them, close the gap. So it's that kind of thinking we're going for. And the idea is to keep the combat connected. So there's not lulls between the fight, between killing this guy and running to the next guy. We want to make sure you have the ability to keep your combo chains going by lifting, flying, not just on the ground, but also vertically.
Service to hardcore, that's absolutely first and foremost, but there is no reason to wall out people from the depth that you have in your game and incentivize them to join the ranks of the hardcore by giving them a broader understanding and having the style system sort of minutely calculate what you're doing so you can see what's going on and understand, oh, game rewarded me for that, okay, I'm going to try that again. And so we want to reward investigation, and as Tam said, the game has just a ton of emergent depth in it that we're almost sometimes finding new stuff to this day, like, oh, you can do that, and it's really, really great.
This is Bob Barbas of the Raptor News Network. Just doing God's work.
Hey, Bob, put a spin on this.
Hey, Powers! Look who's back! Steel Battalion Heavy Armor's multiplayer mode made its playable debut, with attendees among the first to sample co-op play on a brand new map set in a huge ravine. The user interface has also been enhanced with on-screen prompts that make it abundantly clear what Kinect gestures you'll need to perform to tinker with your vertical tank's multitude of levers, buttons and dials.
C-Virus.
That's what the guerrillas were calling it.
And then, of course, there's Resident Evil 6. Among the many highlights of the hour-long presentation was the revelation that the previously unnamed third protagonist is Jake Muller, son of one Albert Wesker. As many fans suspected, he's accompanied by an all-grown-up Sherry Birkin, last seen as a little girl in Resident Evil 2. All three character stories are complete standalone adventures that can be tackled in any order in single-player or in local or online co-op, which now boast seamless drop-in, drop-out play. I'll leave the final word to the game's executive producer Hiroyuki Kobayashi and director Eiichiro Sasaki.
For us, survival horror is still the foundation upon which every Resident Evil game is built. But when you want to take it to the next level, I think you have to go beyond the limitations of horror, and you want to bring it into the world of entertainment, because that's what games are. They're entertainment, so you don't want to limit it. Okay, so we do have 3 characters and 3 stories to follow in this game, but we're not forcing players to choose one over the other. For example, you want to play as Chris, you can play Chris's story. If you want to play as Leon, you can play Leon's story. That choice is up to the player themselves, who they want to play as.
Looking for me, boys?
You can't run forever.
So with RE6, we have this co-op feature, but we wanted to improve it. In RE5, you couldn't join wherever you wanted. You had to restart the game from a certain point whenever someone online wanted to join your game. Now with RE6, we've made it so you can just drop in and out wherever you want in the game. Suppose you're playing with someone and they leave in the middle of the game. So where does that leave you? Well, we've spent a lot of time refining the AI for the partner characters. So the AI will be really well designed in this game, to the point where unless the person you're playing with was really bad, you will not notice that the person has left your game.
Put your gun down, Chris. She's a key witness. We need her.
A witness? She's the one who did all this!